Welcome to the Grow Your Camp podcast. I'm Mark,
And I'm Carl.
and we're here to, I always want to say pump you up, but I'm trying to discipline myself over this previous tap back from another era. So we are here to help you grow, and we do it two ways. We want to share stories and systems, which is why Carl and I are together. He's a great systems guy. I like stories, so at the end of the day, what we want to do is help you grow your camp because, let's face it, we can't minister to empty beds. Today's episode features a conversation with Ryan Moore. He works with Kaleidoscope, and you're going to hear more about that. It's a consulting firm that helps camps and retreat centers essentially strengthen their programs, align their leadership teams, the development of strategic plans. We actually have a little offer for you as a listener of the Grow Your Camp podcast at the end, so stay tuned to that as well. All of it designed for supporting long-term growth and sustainability. But before we dive into the interview with Ryan, here's a quick Grow Your Camp marketing tip.
All right, today's camp marketing tip is put free Google ads to work for your camp. Not every camp is a nonprofit, but a high percentage of you are. And if you're a nonprofit, there is a very good chance that you qualify for something called the Google Ads Grant, which is available through the Google for Nonprofits program. And it's a pretty significant opportunity. Google will give you up to $10,000 per month in free advertising that can help you show up when people are searching for camps, retreats, or whatever kinds of programs you offer online. So just imagine. And I'm actually going to share my screen here just to give you an example here. Just imagine that your target audience, like let's say you are trying to attract people for guest group bookings, and churches are out there looking for instance, a Christian retreat center near me. What the Google Ads Grant does is help you get right up here to the top of Google in this section called sponsored results. You might not realize this, but that sponsored means these are paid advertisements. And some of these advertisers are getting here not because they're paying anything through Google to do that, but because they're using the Google Ad Grant. So this is a great program for nonprofits to be able to show up at the top of Google when parents are looking for camps, when churches are looking for a venue to hold their retreat. And, I've talked to probably close to 100 camps over the last 6 to 9 months through trade shows and leads and just conversations. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that 60 to 70% of those camps have never even heard of the Google Ad Grant program. And another 20 to 30% have heard of it, but they aren't using it. And it's basically free money that gives you huge visibility at the top of Google. And so I encourage you to look into that. And Mark and I both run marketing agencies that help clients with their growth. And one of the things we help camps with is implementing the Google Ads Grant. So if this is an opportunity you're aware of, or now you are aware of it, and you're sitting on it or don't know what to do with it, we'd love to help you out. Even if it's just pointing you in the right direction. So if that's something where you're aware of it but not sure how to implement it and just need some help or pointing it in the right direction, you can visit our website at improveandgrow.com. And right at the top of that website is a Let's Chat button you can click on, schedule a call with me, and I'll help you get going in the right direction.
Hey, thanks, Carl. I love that Sandy Cove is at the top of your search list. I served there for about 7 years as the VP of Sales and Marketing and 8 years as president. So seeing it at the top makes me happy. That's a great place to connect with God and each other. Hey, listen, the Google Grant you can do it yourself. Just Google it. But Carl's team can also help you execute, implement, manage, and show results. So Google Grant, $10,000 a month. Today's marketing tip. Thanks, Carl. Today, I mentioned at the top of the show that we're going to be chatting with Ryan Moore. And Ryan is from Kaleidoscope. And I've seen you at shows where, we're all together talking with camps and so forth. But what really is interesting to me is your camp connection, your camp story, because serving camps is unique and having a history helps us better understand. Do you have any stories of how camp has impacted your life or someone in your family's life? Maybe a moment or experience or relationship that shaped you to think about camps and serving them today?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think when certainly me especially, but every member of our firm, and we think about why we do the work we do, camp has played such a critical role in all of our lives. Camp has, growing up for me at a United Methodist camp in South Carolina, that was the largest faith formation, and frankly, it was my spiritual home for most of my developmental years. I then served on staff of that camp, and when I thought about this question, that this moment came back to me because I was talking to an old friend who worked at that camp after I did on year-round staff, and some years ago they called and said, "Hey, do you remember a camper that went by the name of Beans?" Couldn't tell you Beans' real name. I remember him distinctly coming to camp. I was his counselor, and he was everything that you would imagine when you hear a camper that wants to go by Beans all week. And you know in that moment when they called and said, "Well, he's applied to be on summer staff," and he mentioned that his experience was so powerful that week, and I remember him being such a struggle um, just to get through the week. And it was just that reminder that the kinds of effort we put in the camp environment from staff, certainly seasonal staff, but year-round staff, that line from Gladiator, I'm showing a touch of my age there, of what we do in life echoes in eternity, right? The
Mhm.
ripple effects of all of these small experiences that continue to move outward and impact not just our lives, but the lives of those we get to be involved with at camp. It was kind of one of those full circle moments. He went on and he served multiple summers on that staff, and I am told he did quite well. And so again, just those little moments that continue to circle back, and I think we all have that. We all have these camp moments that pop back into our minds for whatever reason. So that's mine that came to mind today.
Well, I probably was the bean of the camp that I went to when I was a teenager, that I was in a lot of trouble all the time. And then fast forward, I became the program director of that camp years later. You never know. Sometimes it's the troublemakers that make a huge difference in the future. So glad you invested in Bean on behalf of all the beans of us in the world. Thank you. So, for those listening right now, Ryan, can you just very quickly summarize what Kaleidoscope does and how does it grow camps? Because that's what we're about, growing camps, all different strategies. Give us a quick overview of what your team does.
Yeah. So Kaleidoscope, we're a consulting firm. We work with camps across the country of every style and type to do a few things. One, we do assessments and best practices. In many ways, our firm, having been around for 40 years, holds a lot of the norms of the industry of what does it mean when we think about usage metrics on user days, or financial analysis, or percentage of expense that could go to certain things. And so we have lots of data and lots of broad-based understanding of the industry. Second, we do strategic planning of thinking about if we do this assessment and we know where we are, let's chart the path of what's next and where are we headed, and then how do we get there? And the last piece is that we do master site planning. So thinking about site and facilities as tools to achieve mission, and what are the facility components that are necessary in order to achieve your mission today, tomorrow, and 10 years, 20 years down the road. And so the very, very short version is we help camps move from point A to point B. Many camps know where they are at point A. They know their current reality and they want to figure out what point B looks like. Many camps know what point B looks like. We know where we want to go, but we're not quite sure where we are now and what that path looks like. And there are some that call us and say, "Hey, we want to figure out where we really are and where we need to go." And so we could do anywhere on that spectrum.
That's great. Um, how many camps would you say have a solid understanding of strategic planning, or they do strategic planning?
I Strategic planning as a term is likely overused, and I think there are a lot of leaders that maybe don't have a clear sense of what it is and just avoid it.
Mhm.
There are others that call a lot of their decision making strategic planning, and it's not how we really think about full organizational strategic planning. But I would say that the number of camps, not exactly sure, but thriving camps, when we work with camps that are leading the field and are on the cutting edge and are making um, strong programmatic choices and that are growing, they've done strategic planning, whether they called it that or not. But they're asking the right questions and they're thinking forward about where their organization needs to move in order to deliver their mission.
Yeah. I remember when I was president at Sandy Cove and we had a master planner come in and we were casting vision. And one of the things I said to him was, as we're walking the property, 200 acres on the Chesapeake Bay, hey, we really want to build an outdoor amphitheater. And he goes, why? And it's a good
Mhm.
question. I explained, I really want to experience. Part of our mission is to help people connect with God and each other in his creation. So we want to have that component. And as we walked around, he said, "This bluff that looks down over the Chesapeake Bay at sunset, you realize this is actually an amphitheater. You just haven't called it that yet."
Right.
And sure enough, that insight helped us create an entire Thursday night program for family camps that was set on the bluff. Everyone sat on the hill, looking at the sunset, singing songs. And it was just such an insight that somebody outside had to show me that it existed, and it was an inexpensive fix.
Yeah, it's a great example. Much of our work, it doesn't come because we're smarter or wiser. It's not that at all. It's a perspective issue. It's why the firm is called Kaleidoscope. We bring lots of perspectives in, and we see what comes out of the other side. I think our objectivity and our knowledge base is are clear assets to the process, but often it's just asking the right questions and listening through.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we like curiosity. I call it curiosity quest. Good questions lead to good answers that lead to good outcomes, asking questions. Well, talk about the most challenging things you see that are holding camps back from reaching their full potential.
Yeah, I think there are a couple that come to mind really quickly, and they're kind of broad categories. Certainly, every camp might have contextual things that make it challenging, of facility challenges or their historical audience for faith based camps is shrinking and declining, and how do they navigate that? Certainly, but the two big picture ones are clarity. Um, Camps that are thriving and doing well are really clear not only about what their program is, but what the real product is.
Yeah.
And the silly example that I use is um, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to a store and you're buying a broom, you're not buying the broom, you're buying the clean floor, right?
Yeah.
You're buying the outcome.
Yes.
And camps that have real clarity about what their outcomes are, send your camper here because we're going to do X, Y, and Z, or they'll experience X, Y, and Z. And we're talking about the transformation, the change, not send your camper here and we're going to do the zip line, right? When they talk about outcomes and not tools, and they understand that distinction, that level of clarity, and when there's focus, there are lots and lots and lots of camps doing all kinds of amazing things. And at every camp, there are 18 million great things that happen, but those camps that have razor sharp clarity of what they're trying to achieve and what their outcomes are, that's a huge um, lever or fulcrum that can achieve growth. The second is courageous leadership. When we work with camps, those leaders, whether it be staff or board leaders that are ready to say, okay, what really is next, and are ready to sometimes let go of what currently is, or sometimes really re envision and put the work in to make change necessary. The world around us continues to adapt really quickly, and we've got to make changes to meet the needs without losing our principles, right? But we've got to adapt practices. And so, camps that are really clear and that are ready to make adaptations, those are the ones that see growth. And I think the challenge is those that haven't quite figured out how to articulate the clarity or maybe lack the courage. Not that camp leaders aren't incredible professionals doing amazing work.
Yeah, clarity and courage. Boy, if you can help me, Carl, any camp leader have clarity, leadership then becomes, for me, more joy. There's just more joy. There's clarity. I remember at Sandy Cove, our program director came and said, "Hey, we need to change the name of the auditorium, and I want to make it missional." And I said, "Well, our mission is to help people connect with God and each other." And he says, "What if we called it the Connectatorium?" And I
Okay.
was like, "I love it." He goes, "No, I was kidding." I said, "No, do that. That's it."
Yeah.
So there's clarity around mission, and then there was some courage to make some changes because that room actually was named after the founder originally. And so there was some things that required some relational courage
Mhm.
as well as strategic courage. So it sounds like what you guys do is help leaders get that clarity and courage. That's a great value in growth because without clarity and courage, you can't really grow.
I love that you talk about the also speaking to outcomes. Um, I actually have a marketing tip prepared for another session that's around that is like instead of talking about facilities and facts, emphasizing the benefits and the outcomes that people experience from those facilities or from those programs or from those activities. Just a simple example, one of our customers promotes their zipline tours to the community beyond just to groups, and they talk a lot about conquering fear. One of the big holdups of people booking into a zipline tour is they're worried about fear. And so addressing that head on by saying, "Hey, this experience actually helps you conquer fear." Um, it creates some anticipation for that event in a way that just saying, "Hey, have fun," or "Go on our zipline tour" doesn't. And it also addresses one of the main objections that people have right up front by building it into the offer, if you will. So yeah, that's cool.
Well, the quick piece there is if we only focus on the logistical elements, right? So
Teachers.
yeah, then we compete with other features. And that's not who we're really in competition with. It's a crowded youth development space for summer camp, right? You're not competing just with other camps, you're competing with staying home and if we're naming features, right, or lodging amenities, then all of a sudden, contextually, we're really competing with hotels or resorts. Well, that's not our competition. If we're naming outcomes, that's a different kind of flavor. And parents and families, whether they think of it this way or not, will hear that difference and say, "Oh, this is a different kind of thing," and they'll give the proper weight to the kind of experience. So those camps that can do that clearly usually have a leg up.
Well, let's do that. I love stories. So, Ryan, tell us a story about a camp that you've worked with, a short story
Yeah.
that you helped them unlock some growth.
Yeah. I think there was one camp, and Mark, this actually mirrors a touch of the story you were telling about Sandy Cove. There was a camp we started working on some strategic planning, and we were asking all those early questions. And at the outset, they said, "Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to build these buildings, and it was these cabins, and we want them to go here." And okay, great. And we asked the question why, and we drilled down. It was because they had a few users, user groups, retreat groups that wanted that type of space. But when we really dug deeper and assessed what the mission of the organization was, and then did the data work around financial analysis and use analysis and revenue per user day and all of these things that some people that aren't a fan of Excel spreadsheets, they just glaze over, right? But when we do that hard work of understanding the business model, we actually came to the answer of you shouldn't do all of that work. You should refine your program focus and adjust, right? Great organizations choose their clients, right? You should choose the type of group that you're seeking to serve that's A, in line with your mission, right? Vitality first, but B, actually the most viable and allows this whole thing to turn over and generate income. They did fewer days in the calendar, um, but had much more depth of impact, and they came out, from a viability perspective ahead. So there was growth quantitatively, in the number of people they served, qualitatively in the depth they served, and they did it more efficiently. They weren't running as crazily as trying to get every single group in. I think that was really impactful work because it helped them see that asking the right questions in the right order is what gets to the best answer. And I think that unlocked that growth for them and allowed them to say no to
Yeah.
certain things, which is a huge part of growth. I think growth many times can feel like we just want to get everybody in, but you could do a bunch of free day events and you're going to run around and waste all the capacity you have, finance and time and staff labor, and it's not going to generate much. And I think, that business piece of we're not in this to make money. Everyone's paycheck will attest to that. But for the organization, the money is the measure of whether we can do more mission tomorrow and the next day and the next.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so the vitality is the driver, but viability has to work too.
Yeah, a lot of camps assume that getting, like you said, getting more people in is the most important thing, but sometimes getting more of the right people in, which can sometimes actually mean, like in your example, less people, actually ends up giving you more time to spend with those people. It's more profitable for the camp because it hits their sweet spot better. And then you can build on that growth, right? Like, so ultimately the growth in volume can come, but first get the right kind of people in. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, we think about growth qualitatively and quantitatively. In a perfect world, it's both, but sometimes we got to do qualitative first, then we can get quantitative.
Yeah. Uh, I like to say no, but yes. No to that free day group. Yes to the overnight.
Right.
Oh, sometimes you have to say no. Thank you so much, Ryan. I know there's so much more that your organization can talk about and do, but if this has whet your appetite, my fellow listener and a growing camp podcast fan, we've talked to Ryan a little bit about offering you something that is unique. And this is a mini strategy session. They call it a strategy sprint. And this would be something that Ryan and his team would offer you. Just mention the podcast or say Mark from Carl, and they will work up some great deal for you on that strategy sprint. And the best way to do that is go to the Kaleidoscope website. And where do you want them to click?
Yeah, if you head to book a call and there's when you go to book that call, there's a little questionnaire. Just mention that you heard us on this podcast and you're interested in the strategy sprint, and we'll route you to the right person. And that strategy sprint is a smaller, more bite-sized engagement to really bring focus and clarity to some areas of focus. So um, every project is customized to the camp because everyone is different and we want to find what's really going to launch camps forward. So that conversation is free. We will figure out what makes sense, but that strategy sprint can be a starting point for a smaller, more bite-sized engagement that we've heard the need of in the camps we work with. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I appreciate you being on. Your insights about clarity and courage resonate deeply with me as a leader and a guy who's paid a lot of dumb tax for not having either one of those things. So thanks for being on the Grow Your Camp podcast.
It was a pleasure. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Well, hey, listeners, camp leaders, we just want to take a moment before we close here to thank you for being a part of this episode of the Grow Your Camp podcast. We just want to reinforce that what you do matters. You create spaces where people slow down, connect with each other, reconnect with God. Those experiences don't happen on accident. They happen because leaders and organizations like you and like the organizations you lead care enough to make them happen. But even with the most meaningful experiences to offer, people can't experience them if they don't know you exist. So visibility matters. And that's what this show is really about. It's helping you grow by finding ways to get in front of more of the right kind of people, like Ryan talked about today in this episode, and helping them discover your camp, helping you fill your available beds with more of the kind of groups and campers that are going to benefit from the specific things that you do. So we love what you do, and we just want to help you do more of it. Before you go today, we just want to ask you for two quick favors. One, if you like this episode, make sure you subscribe, like it, share it with another camp leader who you think can benefit from it. And second, we'd love to hear from you. We want to build episodes around the questions that you have, the pain points you're experiencing, the opportunities that you'd like to pursue. So if you have a question about camp marketing, how to get more guest group bookings, how to get more people to register for your summer camp programs, or you just have an idea, something that you saw and you want to learn more about how to implement it, you can go to growyourcamppodcast.com and click on the submit your topic button. You can record a quick question there, and we may even feature it on a future episode. And hey, just one more thing, our marketing tip, we talked about that Google Ad Grant, free advertising to help you get in front of people that are looking for a camp, looking for a place to send their kids, looking for a venue to hold a group retreat. If you want help figuring that out, you can go right to improveandgrow.com, click on the Let's Chat button, and Like I said, if we can help, we will. If not, if we can even just point you in the right direction, we'd love you to take advantage of that free money from Google to help your camp get more visibility. Thanks again for listening. And hey, let's keep growing camp together.
Right on. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Carl.